Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back into another edition of Jake's Takes. I am your host, Jake Masucci, and today I am super excited for another edition of the show. Today I got on my guy, Marty Hannon. We're recording this on March Madness week. The brackets just came out. We're recording it Monday, March 17th. So coming out, we're recording this early. I'm gonna get this out next week, so you'll probably be listening to it sometime next week. But super excited for this one. I mean, we talk about all things Marvel Comics. We go into the Multiverse Saga. We go into Captain America: Brave New World. Really center on Brave New World and Deadpool and Wolverine for a little bit. Those two movies really hit for Marvel and did a good job. Rotten Tomatoes doesn't think so, but we kind of settle it on the new Captain America. We thought as Marvel fans that it was really, really good. And then after that, we go through each multiverse saga movie / show. And I really think it's interesting. We dive deep into everything and talk about what we liked, what we disliked. Overall, just really good to kind of take a little break from sports and talk about the specifics of the Marvel universe. I think people should be more excited than they are because I actually think Marvel's going somewhere, which I'm excited for. So I'm going to get that music cued and get you guys ready to go. Spoiler warning. All right, welcome back into the show. And I'm super excited in this one to be joined by my guy, Marty Hannon. He is back with us, and I'm super excited for this one. Taking a little break from sports in this March Madness week, and we are talking some Multiverse Saga. Marvel, we're bringing it back. It's been about, I think, a year since we've done a pod with Marvel, but watched. Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a while, right? And I just watched Captain America: Brave New World, and I was like, I need to get the best Captain America guy I know on, and that's Marty Hannon. So, Marty, how we doing today?
Good, dude. Good. It's great to be back. Also fun to be back. Like not just talking sports. I think last time I was on, we were talking baseball, which uh, hopefully we can talk. Hopefully the Tigers are good enough to talk about it. And before we get into Captain America, though, you want to say one March Madness shout out Xavier for barely sneaking in,
Yes,
but
sir.
might pull a UCLA. I doubt it, but I have also a lot of optimism, so we'll see. But really excited for that to get going. But back on topic for today, yeah, I saw Captain America. I think the weekend it came out, and I thought it was definitely better than I expected. And um, I thought they're probably, and this is weird. So typically, I don't think a movie benefits ever from being a little bit longer, but I do think it could have maybe benefited from it being about 15 to 20 minutes longer in the more like 215 to 220 range, just to give a little more story development, because it just seemed to sometimes go like place to place to place. But I thought overall it was a good movie and an easy watch, and I think that's important.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. And like right after I watched the movie, we couldn't watch it together, which normally we watch our
Yeah.
movies together. I was like, yeah, I got to get Marty on and we got to talk about this. And the perfect thing is if you're watching on YouTube, he's got an American flag right behind him, which is great.
Oh yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So, I mean, it's so like I'm happy he's on the show, but talking about the movie a little bit. The thing that I thought was really intriguing right off the bat was one of the movies I didn't watch from the phase one was Incredible Hulk. And I thought they did a great job of like bringing in those ideas into the movie
Mhm.
and kind of talking them through and, like acting like you didn't see the Incredible Hulk because I didn't. And like,
Mhm.
like building on those stories, I think was so key in, like creating the movie, which I thought they did an awesome job with.
Yeah, and I think it's important when a movie's come out when you're in almost some ways like the villains, the sequel for the villains, kind of. That's almost like a sequel to the Incredible Hulk
Mm-hmm.
in some ways. Obviously, for Sam, it's a sequel to his series Falcon and Winter Soldier, and also Avengers Endgame with Steve Rogers passing the baton to or the shield to Sam Wilson. But I think it's important to kind of make to portray the movie as something audiences have never seen before.
Yeah.
Because again, it's 17 years ago, right? Like we were 5 years old when that came out, 4 years old, however old we were. So it's definitely one of those things that's uh, it's been circulating for a long time, and it's cool that it kind of finally came into the foreshadowing from that movie finally kind of came into fruition. I will say it was difficult, and this is obviously like real world circumstances always outweigh what happens in a movie. It was difficult not watching William Hurt as Thaddeus Ross. I think Harrison Ford did a fantastic job, but it's just like it always stinks because it's like it's almost like watching a different character.
Yeah.
Um, but still, I thought that was really cool. What do you think of the of how they utilized the Red Hulk in it?
I thought they did a fantastic job. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
really from the bat like kind of built Ross's character, you know,
Mm-hmm.
which to us like seeing him like we saw him in Incredible Hulk, he was, you know, like trying to use the project. We saw how that hurt his relationship with his daughter and with his family and etc.
Right.
And then when you're looking at it in Civil War, he wants to sign the Sokovia Accords, you know, he's anti superhero like right off the bat, and he's super aggressive about it, right? And then you
Right.
see that aggression like in the beginning of the film where originally he's friendly with Sam Wilson, and then right with one slight he's just like, I'm done with this. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
just the patience that he's had, you know.
Right.
And so I think that part of it is just really interesting and just showing like all that he wants is relationship with his family and relationship, you know, with that, like it's just relatable. And that's what
Mm-hmm.
I think Marvel Comics and what we'll talk about with the other movies and stuff, some of the stuff just hasn't been as relatable. And having a character like
I
that
agree.
being relatable, I think is important. But go ahead with what you were saying.
Yeah, and when you think back too, especially how our recent meetings with Ross have been, and recent I mean obviously 5 to 8 years ago, right? With like Infinity War and Civil War and stuff. Like think about how his interactions with Steve Rogers have always been, right?
Yeah.
Extremely negative. Like
Yeah.
uh in most cases Roger like has wants nothing to do with him. Like that, you know, when he tells him off in that speech during Infinity War and he obviously sees Sam as an adversary too, or like someone who'd been kind of an adversary. But he definitely sees him as someone he can kind of bitch around. Like I think at the end of the day, he knows he would never be able to kind of like uh boss around Rogers, but he even says like he does not hold Sam in that same respect,
Yeah.
and I think that's
With the
the
quote, "You're
cool.
not Steve Rogers," right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Like you're not even
Yeah.
supposed to be here, or whatever he said.
Yeah.
Um, and I thought, and that's always interesting too, because you know Sam deals with that I mean, the whole tense of the way. Uh, but thought it was, I thought, especially how that kind of came into the ending, how, and I think it was good to see Ross at the end of the day make the right choice. Like and a choice so that would be consistent with who he is as a character. Like because I think what Stearns was trying to do was try to show him just as this pure villain. But once Ross had power that he felt couldn't be controlled, he put himself away the same way he put everybody else away when he
Exactly.
couldn't control him. So
Yeah.
there's there's integrity in that, and it shows that he's not a Ross shouldn't be necessarily just looked at as like a villain. An antagonist, sure, but like at the end of the day, he's fighting for good too, and I thought that was really good characterization of him.
Yeah, and it's the character build, right? You know, like building
Mm-hmm.
him and like building his whys and like tearing at it. I mean, that's part of the reason why like people love podcasts. It's because
Right.
like you can go into this long form content and you can like tear it open and like actually see
Mm-hmm.
like why somebody's doing it, right? And that's what we saw
Mm-hmm.
with Thaddeus Ross there, and I thought they did a great job there. Speaking on your Captain America thing, like the characterization with like you're not Steve Rogers, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I think was interesting because you see it a lot in everyday life. You know, you see it a lot with like oh, LeBron left the Cavs or something. Donovan Mitchell will never be LeBron James. Something like that.
Right.
You know, it's more apparent with like quarterbacks, right? I think than anything else because
Well,
like a
even think in
quarter.
our hometown,
Yeah,
right? Like you're not Matthew Stafford, right?
exactly.
Or
Yep.
like even like with this like new Tigers team right now, right? Like probably a million different people kind of say like Riley Green, you're not Miguel Cabrera. Terry
Yep.
School, you're not Justin Verlander. You're not Max
Yep.
Scherzer. Like it's um it's difficult. I mean, you especially see that in sports. You see it in life too, and you got to fill big shoes. And I think what makes Sam relatable is that he struggles with that of filling these big shoes of someone that he looked up to and that was a mentor to him and a partner to him for a very long time. Um, and I think the cool thing that Bucky does in that scene is that he tries to separate the two with kind of like because and there's a lot of truth in that, like saying like Steve, like you're something. Steve was something to believe in, and you're something to aspire to. And I think that's something that's gonna stick with Sam. Like even though, like obviously kind of jokingly said like the one part like Bucky was full of shit. There's fair when you're
Yeah.
fighting the Hulk because obviously like we've seen Rogers go toe to toe with Thanos and different being Thor and just like and
Exactly.
Loki and
Yeah.
stuff. And even when he kind of comes out on what's seemingly the losing end of all those, like he probably wouldn't win those battles, but he's giving you know Bean's insane power of fight when we watched like Sam was struggling in certain aspects to like fight some of the henchmen uh of Giancarlo's character.
Yeah.
So
No,
and then even
character
that
is
fight
good.
I
Um,
loved it too.
yeah, no, I think they did a good job like categorizing the villains in that stage. And then what makes a movie for me too is like building the villain and doing a good job with the villain. And Sturgis was
Yeah.
perfect, man. I mean, he was
Hmm.
awesome, like cunning, like they told his story well. They told it like talked about his motivations, and you're like, dang, if I was that guy, I would hate Ross too. I would have this
No,
plan
right.
too, like your whole life is ruined when you could be like the guy, like
Hmm.
you could
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
could do everything. And I think they did a good job with him. What were your thoughts?
I totally agree, and I like too, especially how they use like how he originally conned like Isaiah Bradley, because I think what that does is immediately it puts emotional stake in it for Sam,
Mhm.
but even more so like it shows how smart he is because um because I liked what um the ex Black Widow was saying. I can't remember her name exactly, but
Yeah, I can't remember her either,
yeah,
but like,
no, but she
she's from the Red Room, all that stuff. So
yeah,
yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
So what she was saying, and obviously she's Ross's like head of security. He does like a guy like Isaiah does have every reason to attack someone like Ross, and but it was also, in my opinion, obvious to us from his characterization lately that he would never do that. So it's like immediately like, oh shit, what's going on here? But and that and then I do think sometimes it's like, man, how many times are we going to use mind control?
Yeah.
But it wasn't like he was using it like it was pretty controlled, in my opinion.
Yeah, he was using it in a different way, which I thought
Yeah,
was really interesting with like
yeah,
kind of cues, kind of a more realistic sense in mind control, like
all right,
cueing something in the brain, where it's more of like a psychology type thing, which is kind of
exactly.
interesting.
Rather than just like
Yeah,
like brainwashing and
exactly. Exactly. The Black Widow you were looking for was Ruth Bat
yeah,
Sierra or
Ruth
something like
Betzra.
that.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
it was.
which she was interesting, like
Hmm.
adding a different element to it. And the more videos I watched on Captain America after the fact, like a lot of people were saying that her role was supposed to be like way more important, but they did a lot of like reshooting on how they wanted to do it and what specifics they wanted to do
I've
with
heard
the
that too, and
movies.
I'm interested
Yeah.
in what those reshoots looked like because I heard the screening process prior was like a nightmare. Like I was
Yeah.
pretty worried about this when it was coming out, but I think, and that's I think why a lot of things kind of seemed rushed because I think they kind of were
Yeah.
to make for a better storyline. What I liked is that at the we kind of got to a point where there was a little bit of a there's a lot of parallels between the team in Captain America 2 and the team in this last one of Captain America and then Falcon and like an ex Black Widow, call it. Because Natasha Romanoff's obviously called the Black Widow, but in that sense, she's an ex Black Widow.
Exactly. And it kind of just builds like that. That's what Captain America was, We
Exactly.
talked about it off screen before, how this had similar vibes to the Winter Soldier, right?
Yes, I think that's definitely like the formula they were gunning at, right?
Exactly.
Like government conspiracy, or like kind of like, or just starting with like a fight, fighting alongside the government, but having issues with it. Then pure government conspiracy, going into something like just kind of an all-out fallout of shit that's been going on. And then also people working behind the shadows, like, with uh, Stearns and Alexander Pierce. Now, The Winter Soldier is my favorite Marvel movie, and this one is like I'd say pretty not mid tier. It's like on the upper middle, I
Yeah, it's
guess.
upper middle, I'd say too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but just because it wasn't as well done, action scenes weren't as good. Like there was just nothing that it really lived up to. Like, but I mean, we're not. That's not the bar
I thought the
either.
action scenes were actually really good. And like that's because of like the flights kind of sequence. I've never
I
really
do like
seen
those.
that in the
Yeah.
MCU other than like an Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I didn't really see that much except in like an Iron Man. And they kind of did it in a way where it wasn't the same as Iron Man because you didn't see like Sam's head in the
Yeah.
helmet very much. You didn't see
No,
like
and
all
I
that
like to like
and the tech aspect of it.
yeah, and I like all like stuff he can do with his wings because that does give him like a lot of, in my
Yeah.
opinion, like when he can't do the same things like Steve can. It's like he's in a vibranium flying suit. Like he can do a lot,
Mhm.
right? Like so it's
Yeah.
like let's not just because he's not a super soldier say and obviously he's like I think at the end of the day you're not going to live up to Steve Rogers. He's someone like you just can't live up to. It'd be like if Dick Grayson took on the role of Batman, you're not going to live up to Bruce Wayne. But like
Yeah.
it's just he's an impossible person to live up to, and they've built that
Mhm.
forever. But Sam Wilson
Yeah.
can become something of a legend in himself, and he, quite frankly, is. I really enjoyed like the grounded fight scenes in the and like the Winter Soldier and stuff like the highway fight but that's just something like with the way this movie's set up, you're just not going to get. So that's more of a bias on my part. But I so I also thought the action scenes were very good. They just weren't quite like I
Yeah,
think
to that
though. Now
level,
I do
right?
think the
Yeah.
action sequences were top, probably top 10, especially in solo movies for me. Um, so but overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought the most important thing they did was I thought the characterization of Sam's Cap was fantastic, and I think that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
And I
No,
think it's
I
cool
agree.
how he's working with that Joaquin Torres because I think what's the coolest part about that is that Torres is living with those same kind of like struggles too of like aspiring to be like Sam because Sam as the Falcon is pretty hard to live up to in itself. So
Mhm.
they can kind of work through those together in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But no,
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I agree.
I
I
thought it was
agree.
really good and definitely something like, and I think like I don't think we should look at like Rotten Tomatoes scores for this, right? Right? Like it was like got about a 48 or 50 or whatever it got. That's fine. This was superhero movies like there's a lot of good superhero movies in my opinion that get about that should get about
Mhm.
because they're not like the craftsmanship of what was made. I think Marvel got into this space where they really could do no wrong, and they really weren't doing any wrong. But like I think, and now we got into a space where they can do no right, and they weren't doing any right, but now they are again. So I think they're kind of just like these are getting judged much more objectively. Like I think when people go back and they watch the first Avenger, so the first Avenger uh for like for reference has a 79, I believe, on Rotten Tomatoes or an 80. Looking back, to me, that movie I think is a lower score than, and I should double check, but than like Ant Man and some other stuff. It's like, and I'll check that real quick right now. Just like my point is like I don't think those should ever be like there's something to kind of look at, but I think that audience score is always something more so.
Yeah,
Um,
no, I agree. Like looking at the Rotten Tomatoes like stuff beforehand, like it wasn't great for this movie, but for Marvel like it's for Marvel fans, it's not
no,
for your
exactly.
average person. And I think that's kind of what we're going with for that one. Like Deadpool and Wolverine got a lot better Rotten Tomatoes score than this one because there's
Mhm.
jokes and like it's you don't really have to understand the Marvel universe more than like this movie. This movie,
Right.
like it calls back to the Incredible Hulk. It calls back to different past events, stuff like that. But
But even then, like this, I'm looking at it right now. I've still got like a 78. When I honestly think this is one of the best movies they put out. Like, and my point is, if you look at a lot of the X-Men movies that were pretty, like, some of them have higher scores, some lower. It's just like it's not. There was. It's like if you look at like right out of that like Marvel Prime is when they were giving like, in my opinion, like bloated scores to certain things. Like, but and that's also just my opinion and kind of a tangent I went on. Like basically, just I just kept seeing on like social media
yeah,
like oh it's the lowest Rotten Tomato score Marvel movies ever had. Well, that doesn't matter.
yeah,
Like
it really doesn't. It really doesn't at all. I don't think that's what Marvel's going for at all.
no,
Yeah, yeah. Um, Moving on, we can talk a little bit about Deadpool Wolverine. We'll probably come back to Captain America a little bit, but Deadpool Wolverine, I was doing like a big time Marvel rewatch type thing, and then I hadn't watched the Deadpools. Like I got
yeah,
halfway through Deadpool 2, I watched Deadpool 1, and I was like, all right, let's rewatch Deadpool 2 and then watch Deadpool Wolverine because everybody's talking about it, right? I thought
yeah,
this was a good movie. I was very
I do
into it.
too.
And they brought in the new stuff with like the time variance authority. Having that storyline I thought was interesting for Deadpool. And it was kind of funny.
Mm,
It brought in jokes. I thought they did a good job with this movie. What were your thoughts on this one?
I thought I thought a few things. I thought first it was an amazing way. It was the first time they fixed this all the multiversal errors that they had with Doctor Strange. That
Yeah.
was way too out there, kind of just like you it was so hard to follow. And in a lot of ways I felt like just the premise of Wanda's villain was stupid. Um and then whereas this is like going through like something we've seen before with like Wolverine and like how do these universes connect? And then we see like even Chris Evans, Johnny Storm, Blade, who came out in the '90s,
Hmm.
uh, Elektra, who was a part of. She had her own movie, but was also a part of the Daredevil movie from 20 years ago. Um, so I thought connecting things that we've actually seen,
Yeah.
and then adding in characters like Gambit, which was really fun, and like that was very in my opinion, was refreshing and also like kind of nostalgic in a way too. Like it was just Clash new and old so well, and that also gives us kind of a new Wolverine to look forward to. Because that, I mean, he's a major part of Marvel. And I don't know how many of the X Men movies you watched, but those were fantastic movies.
Yeah.
And I just think, and then I also think it hit on. It was cool to see like Loki actually implemented into a movie
Yeah.
with
Yeah.
like the TVA and stuff. And then I also think it writes not rights the wrongs, but like gives a better blueprint like of characters that like break the fourth wall. I think just Deadpool does in general. Like, we saw in She-Hulk, like we were talking about. I thought that was just a terrible show. Um, I thought like it was kind of cringy and annoying whenever she'd break it. Like whereas like Deadpool's always cracking like a pretty funny joke, like something pretty foul. Like it's like something that resonates with fans rather than just kind of a stupid statement here or
Exactly.
there.
Exactly. And the
Like when he
fact
like
that
goes up,
Marvel Yeah, the fact that Marvel, like to me, is going this deep into it. That's what I was worried about. I was like, "Ooh, Deadpool's coming to MCU. Are they gonna like Disneyfy it? Where Deadpool's not gonna go as far with his jokes and like the
yes,
gore and stuff." And they just said, fuck it. We're just gonna go all in." And
no,
that was
100%.
awesome. That was
No,
awesome.
and it's important, I think, to not Disneyfy things too right now,
Yeah.
like, because that's not what Marvel fans want, right? It was not at all what Star Wars fans wanted either, and man, we saw how that ended. So I do think they're working towards not doing that. And that was where I was really concerned when, and we'll get into this later, but this new Daredevil show and
Yeah.
the Punisher, it's like if you Disneyfy them in any way people like to say something gets Disneyfied, whether there's like a woke political agenda behind it, whether there's um less gore, no swearing, play more playing for jokes. That is everything anti uh and like light jokes, I mean, too. Like very PG to PG-13 and like low level PG-13 jokes even, right? Like there's nothing from Anchorman that you're going to see in an Avengers movie typically, except for Paul Rudd. Uh Deadpool was making the same jokes, and then going back to like this Daredevil series and stuff. Like there's not there, like I mean the gore that's been in this so far is pretty extreme, and it's only going to get worse as the Punisher comes in, and they're not playing the light versions of these characters. They're at their full force, and that's important.
Yeah, it's just important to bring what the character actually is when you're bringing it in,
Yeah,
And
I
like they even did
yeah
a good job with that for Spider-Man, like bringing in the
agree.
character like on how he actually is,
I
Um
I
yeah.
think what they like the only characters they were really Disney-fine were like these new characters they're bringing in, and I think they just what I appreciate them for doing is just keeping the old characters the way they are.
Yeah.
Because I think the biggest issue with the Star Wars Disney Star Wars is they Disneyfied Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Mhm.
If I had to pick one character in movies you probably can't mess with, he's right there in the list, and they did. The consequences showed. I mean, you can obviously think of a few more who haven't been messed with. Like you don't want to mess with, right? Like, but as far as like a fandom base, like that's probably the worst one, I'd say.
Yeah. No, I
So,
agree. I agree 100%.
but them not making that same mistake with a lot of characters is huge.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. All right. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break. And then when we get back, we're going to go through the Multiverse Saga and talk about what we liked and what we didn't like. So we'll be back in a sec.
Welcome, everybody, to the Jomo Show, your home for Oakland sports and beyond from WXOU. My name is Giovanni Mosheri, and I am the host of the one and only show that covers the Oakland University Golden Grizzlies each and every week. Subscribe to the Jomo Show for weekly interviews with athletes and coaches, for a recap of the week's action at OU, and whatever else is going on in the sports world. You can tune in on 88.3 FM, WXOU, or wherever you get your podcasts each week. Go Golden Grizzlies on the Jomo Show.
All right. Welcome back into the show. And what we're going to do with the Multiverse Saga is, I mean, if you're looking at it from a Marvel fan's perspective, like it's got its ups, it's got its downs. So I want to go through each movie, each show. We're going to try to break it down and tell you if we liked it, if we didn't. I'm going to set like a 3-minute timer and we're going to just zip through these as fast as we can. So, Marty, I'm going to give you the floor for most of them. Okay. We're going to go like back and forth, kind of talk about it
Mm-hmm.
a little bit. So let's start with WandaVision. I started the timer here. So go ahead. Give me your thoughts on WandaVision.
Yeah. So I thought and we'll talk about this kind of with each of these. Kind of started slow, but then everything connected pretty well. It was a little out there for me just 'cause like I like more of the grounded stuff, but I thought overall it did a pretty good job. I mean, a lot of people liked it, so I thought I'd give that like a thumbs up overall. Um, I thought it was cool because it really demonstrated Wanda's power. Is I think the biggest thing that it did. So it kind of gave that good setup into the Doctor Strange movie of like what she really can do. Um, when she puts her mind to it, and then yeah, I'd say it overall just it gave us a good showing of what her uh like kind of emotional state was, and then also kind of some fun side characters like brought back Jimmy Woo and uh the that Darcy Lewis chick from
Yeah.
Thor.
From Thor. Yeah.
Overall, and that Monica Rambeau who's important later too. So, but overall, that was pretty much all I got on that. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, WandaVision for me, like, I think it was good. I mean, I like Wanda's character and I thought they built it pretty well. Um,
Hmm.
you know, I like what you're saying about the power aspect of her. and then they just kind of blow it all to crap in Multiverse of Madness, which really
Yeah.
annoys me.
No,
You
they
know?
did. Like
Yeah,
to
I
shit.
mean, it made the show meaningless. So like, I liked it, but like on my list, I put okay because of the fact that they kind of just
long term,
went over it.
yeah, long term it didn't
Exactly.
mean anything.
Long term, it doesn't help. The cool thing is like it does kind of lead into Agatha all along really well, which I think was awesome. And I thought they did a fantastic job with like the writing is great in that show, but it's just difficult when they kind of just ruin Wanda's character like that. That's kind
Yeah,
of
no,
what
that is difficult.
yeah. All right, let's go Falcon Winter Soldier, okay? Timer starts now. Go ahead.
Cool. So I enjoyed this. I again think though they started really slow, and what I really didn't like is how they started with just Sam like giving up the shield. And I understand how like you have to make room for Walker, you have to make room for his struggle when he's talking to Isaiah Bradley. Um, but at the same time, I just think there was a better way to start it than simply like him giving up. I thought it should have been him struggling as Captain America, kind of like, and then wanting to throw it away, and then you can still do everything else. I'm not a writer, but I just thought that could have been better. However, the last 3 episodes I thought were phenomenal.
Yeah.
They were phenomenal in developing Walker's character. They were phenomenal in developing Sam and Bucky. Um, and I think there were parts of that were like peak MCU, and I think there were parts that were like, what are we doing? I also
Mm,
enjoyed Zemo a lot. I hated what they did with Sharon Carter's character. Almost ruined the entire series for me. But
true. Yeah, it is
I'd
pretty
say
bad.
the biggest things were how much they did for Sam and Bucky's characters, and it led in well to Captain America: Brave New World. And so yeah, I liked it. I thought I especially liked the scene when they're with the therapist and like Bucky was like, because Bucky's going through all this like
Yeah.
kind of trauma of what he's done and stuff, and it's good to see him finally kind of get over that. I thought his scenes were great, and I thought the majority of Sam's were too.
Yeah. No, I think they did a great job with Bucky. I really think his character was built pretty well. And I also think near the end, like they did a great job with Sam Wilson, like figuring it out and like, kind of building his character into Captain America, like we talked about. I really just couldn't stand the villains. I didn't like the villains like throughout the whole
No, I
show.
couldn't either. And
Yeah.
I didn't like how the one thing I didn't like about Sam is how he was like trying to like empathize with them. Like they were just terrorists.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like they were just terrorists and like the it was bad to me. Like and to me like I really need to resonate with the villain. Like I really like resonating with the villain. That's why I thought Infinity War is like one of my favorite movies ever
Right.
because like they really emphasized Thanos and built Thanos. Like I thought it was super cool. So that really just turned me off and it put me on the
Sure.
did not like list
Yeah, I get that
for
totally.
me and yeah, I was just kind of out on that one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah, last quick before we move on.
Okay, I
I
got you.
also thought what they did a good job is how Sam wrestles with like the absolute like worst thing that could have that could happen with like
Yeah,
a Captain America and Isaiah Bradley versus like the absolute best with Steve Rogers and how he falls on that spectrum, I guess. But yeah, next.
yeah. Okay, let's go Loki season 1 and season 2. Okay, let's just throw them
Okay.
together. Go
Yeah,
ahead, you can start.
I thought season one was awesome. And I honestly I thought season two was really really good too. I liked where it ended with Loki. And I think there's a lot of ambiguity with that, so we can kind of do whatever we want
Yeah,
with him because he's alive and well, but he's pretty busy. Like
he
so,
like is the multiverse or whatever.
yeah, right, exactly. He's holding everything together.
Yeah,
So I thought that was cool. It's so cool how long that character arc's taken.
yeah.
Like that's truly one of the best characters that Marvel's came up with.
Mhm.
Always a bright spot in the Thor movies. I mean, an amazing villain in the Avengers, and then just kind of like over and over. And even when his like the non-variant version died, he died a hero, and it seemingly this one does too. So it's cool to see Loki in a good guy as a good guy, in my opinion. So yeah, but
Yeah, yeah. For this one, like, there's a lot of different aspects that they could take it on, and I think they just struck gold here.
yeah,
Like it was really awesome to build that character and to like just show like just what he was made of and like how to do it the right way. And I think they really just achieved that and like showed like how the multiverse works and what specifics, and like they built Kang in a good way, you know, because Kang was going to be their big bad. A lot of stuff went, and the other characters are just great, you know, like uh there's Renslayer, there's, you know, Mobius. I mean, all these other characters really like built it really well. And
Agreed.
it was kind of cool that they were like, oh, phase one was like supposed to happen. Like this was like just an arc that it was supposed to go down, and like this is the sacred timeline, there can't be any other. And then at the end of season one, boom, we get a multiverse, and then it like builds. It's like, okay, what's going to happen here, you know, like there's so
Hmm.
many like how does this all work, blah blah blah. You're asking so many questions after season one, and then season two they just continue to build it, and then it kind of like goes to that arc. And now it's like, okay, near the end of these Avengers movies, it's going to be people are going to be trying to find Loki to control this, you know, which is super
Hmm.
cool to me. That they built the characters and the story like that, and I think it was just a complete hit for Marvel on this one. This one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah. Okay, let's move into Black Widow. Okay, I'm starting that timer now.
Yeah, so I like movies like this, right? I like grounded spy thrillers like that. Is kind of an immediate turn on for me, right? So always take that you guys with a grain of salt whenever I talk a movie kind of about like that's in that style. I'm always going to typically have a bias towards it, and also when I say like a movie or a show like Loki's good. That being said, I just think overall this was a great little. This was a great segue into what Black Widow was doing right before she met back up with Captain America. Um, Also a good segue of probably how Captain America got to the raft.
Yeah. Yeah.
To save everybody. But I'd say that it was a overall it was a really fun watch. Cool to see her background. So, and the most important thing you practice for the future is build into the Thunderbolts, right? Build like Yelena's character and build Alexi's character, and I think that was a lot of fun. And then it also just like these Black Widows could be literally everywhere, right? Like we even saw in Captain America: Brave New World. There's a like that Ruth Bader Surratt was a ex Black Widow, like, and they're all formidable. So it's cool that like you have all these potentially formidable characters where you can immediately just have a backstory for now. So I
Yeah.
think it built a lot.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree. Black Widow is definitely one of the ones that I liked. And it's more just building off of the phase one success and building off of, okay, like we've been asking for so long, like give us a Scarlett Johansson's Black Widow movie, you know, and we got that. And they did a great job with it, you know, like explaining the Red Room and going like deep into that dark background, which is kind of cool. You know, again, like that's something like I was concerned of, like, will Marvel get this dark and like actually like explore it? And they did. And I thought they did a great job. I like what you're
Hmm.
saying, like building Alexi's character and building little Elena's character. I think it was great. You know, they're going to be big parts of the Thunderbolts, which now like you're more excited about because you've seen them in this past film,
Exactly. It's not
and
random.
they've exactly, like the characters have been developed, and you're like, whoa, I really like Black Widow. They're going to be really good in that show. So I'm super excited for that, and you know, like I think Black Widow was great. It was awesome. All right, let's move into what if. Okay, let's just talk about all three seasons. All right, if I think I've gotten to two. I've gotten through two seasons, but you know, you can talk about one
Yeah,
of them.
I've seen episodes like here and there. I probably haven't seen every one.
Okay.
I think they're fun, and I think that's
Yeah.
the best way I can describe it. Like I don't really think they should. I don't think they should mean anything.
Yeah.
Outside of like maybe you see a variant from like one, like okay, this kind of makes sense, like kind of like the Captain Carter thing we saw in Doctor Strange. But other than like that, I don't think the story of those should actually hold any weight. Like I think again, I think they're fun, but I think it should just be something that's like explains that there's a multiverse and kind of just like where all these variants could be coming from in theory when we finally see them on screen. But that's kind of my take on it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, they should just be fun shows because it is fun. Like I enjoy them, you know,
I think
like
it's a blast.
yeah, like what if Captain Carter was it was Captain Carter instead, you know? What if Doctor Strange was, you know, like cursed by his love for Christine. Like those are good stories. They're good stories, and they build like a plot line. It makes you like them. Like they come together as like an Avengers like group in a what if with like what if Ultron won, and if Ultron won, he would have been unstoppable. Like it was cool to see that
Exactly. Yeah.
and that version of it, and like that power level with it. And I think it should be like canon, but I also think you're right where it's like maybe we see Captain Carter, but nothing like specific, like nothing like Sorcerer Supreme being the main villain in some no, we don't need that. We don't need that. Like Captain Carter would be a cool cameo, but we don't need her to be a main character. We don't need any of these guys to be a main character. It should just stick to being fun. I like what you're saying there. Okay. Let's move into Shang-Chi. Okay. All right. Give me 3 minutes.
I actually really enjoyed it. I think it's a little like, where is he now? With this, like, it hasn't held a ton of weight yet. Maybe it will. But I thought the movie itself, again, kind of grounded, but also mixed in a lot of like kind of in general like super cool elements. But I liked the characterization what they did with his dad, like good villain that ended up kind of turning good. Um, and then yeah, I thought it was good. I mean, honestly, I probably have to rewatch it to like remember every little detail. I thought it followed the Marvel formula pretty well. Like good action, good laughs. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I did just rewatch this one, so I'm very much in on it. I forgot how good it
Yeah.
is. They
Oh
hit
yeah.
in almost like every aspect of this one. Building the main character, like getting his
Mhm.
backstory. He's trained by his dad as just an assassin because his mom dies early, like when he's young, and then his dad turns into the Ten Rings monster again. Before he was the Ten Rings monster, meets the mom, changes into a changed man, and then the mom is killed by evil people of his past and changes everything. And that's just a really, really cool story because you hear about the Ten Rings. The Ten Rings are the people that captured Iron Man in the first movie.
Right.
Like that's super cool to kind of like tie it all together. And then you get a fake villain with the Ten Rings in Iron Man 3. And you actually get him to come back in the movie, which is kind of cool. It kind of ties in everything, and it ties in like a different power on Earth. There's so much going on Earth, which is super cool. And it's Marvel Comics. Of course, it's all going to happen on Earth, but like it's cool to see a completely different world of Ta Lo, like mixing in like meditation and mixing in like the power of the breath and specific things like that. Like that's cool. Marvel's never really gone that way before, and I thought they did a great job explaining the story. And I'm kind of on the edge of my seat waiting for a number 2 because like especially
Same. Or like at
yeah,
least him to be in something. Like,
exactly.
I mean,
Like
just such a good
especially
character that we've like just not used.
yeah,
That's so.
and especially with that end credit scene where they're with Wong, they're with Bruce Banner, they're with Captain Marvel, and they're explaining that the Ten Rings are sending a signal. We're like, where is that signal going? Like, come on, it's been 3 years now. It came out in 2021. Like, what are we doing here? But that's kind of my take. I was running like very close to the time limit there. Okay, let's go Eternals. All right, talk to me about Eternals and your thoughts here.
I thought it was an interesting. I think we saw this together actually.
Yeah,
I
we
thought
did.
it was an interesting watch. I think the biggest thing it's going to end up doing is kind of like what we saw in Brave New World. Is it introduce adamantium, which is going to be probably for the remainder of uh all of these as long as it goes. But again, I think it's not going to hold much weight at the end. Like we're not going to see them in like an Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Maybe they make an Eternals too. I think it's kind of, but again, I think that's a bad thing. I don't think everything needs to set up the next thing. I think it left its impact, and I think it's kind of good where it is.
Yeah, I agree. Like it was a 3-hour movie. It was long. They
It was
built
way
those
too long.
characters. Yeah, they built those characters really well, and they created like a good movie out of it. And then they
Mhm.
just didn't explain the giant celestial in the Indian Ocean for like 3 years, and then
Yeah, that
Captain
was cool.
America comes out. That was interesting. I mean, like even nothing in any of the shows. Like I was like, come on, give me something. But
Right.
the thing is like I agree with you. I don't know if you use them very much. Like I mean, it's tough because like you could use them in like an X-Men settings with like Galactus and all of those kind of people because it's similar with like Celestials and stuff like that. But again, like you're not really using it at the same time. Like maybe you use it in a Fantastic Four, like set in the past and in a different universe. You know, maybe you do something like that where it's just like a cameo, but it's tough to like build on this in this segment where it's just like a multiverse. Like it doesn't really build on like the multiverse concept to me. And that's where it's kind of tricky.
Also, like in general, the majority of like, from what my understanding of how most comic readers, like true fans, no one gives kind of a shit about them. Very few do, at least. So it's just hard, right? To like, you know. So,
Yeah.
but I don't really care what they do with it. I would definitely go watch the next one, and I would not care if they didn't have it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I agree. All right, let's move into Hawkeye. Give me your thoughts on Hawkeye.
I thought that I liked Kate Bishop overall. I mean, a little annoying, but
Yeah.
that's fine. But and then I liked kind of his, like the kind of the fallout of him being like Ronin and all that, and kind of like dealing with those consequences. I didn't like Kingpin in it. I like the characterization of Kingpin. I just thought it was quick, rushed. I also like I don't think he should have been in a fight with Kate Bishop. Like I think obviously like she just kind of threw a bomb and ran, and that's the best case scenario for her. But I just think that like let's not sit here and act like she wouldn't be dead.
Exactly.
In
Yeah.
like 9 times out of 10. Uh, and then
Especially when they put
and
that
it
power
is
level of Kingpin too. Like they showed him like powerful in that stage. Like he would have beat the crap out of her, right?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, he's just like, and to be fair, he was at the end of
Yeah.
the day. She again just kind of threw a bomb
Mhm.
or like shot one of the explosive
Yeah.
arrows. So, but I just and then he just gets shot in the face. There's kind of no, but like it was very just random having him back in. But I was happy to see him. Other than that, I thought it was overall pretty good. I thought it did it, and then I thought I liked how it built the Elaine a little bit too. So overall, I thought like gave good character development for everybody.
Yeah. No, I'm not gonna add much. I think the characterization was great. I feel like the storytelling could have been a little better, just a tad.
Agreed.
Um, yeah, and they didn't need to have Kingpin in it. They could have had somebody else, and it probably would have been better with somebody else, not gonna lie. But
Yeah, just like
um
don't mess with.
exactly. Yeah,
Yeah,
don't mess with that aspect. I think they were
give
just
Hawkeye his
excited
own
that they had
adversary.
him. Yeah, I think they were just excited that they had him and used him too soon.
Agreed, and like I think wanted to reintroduce him, similar to how Daredevil was in No Way Home for 5 minutes.
Exactly. Exactly. All right, let's move into Spider-Man No Way Home. Talk
Oh,
to me about
sweet,
this
good
one.
segue.
Yep.
Yeah, I loved it. I thought this was another like good way to do the multiverse. I think it was fun. Thought it was really cool seeing like the Spider-Man that I grew up with. Um, like and kind of really got me into superheroes. And then and I thought there was a lot of meaning. A lot came out of it,
Yeah.
man. Spider-Man's probably the most important Marvel character right now. And I mean, really has always been, right? Like in a lot of different ways. Like just like from an outside of the MCU, like that's even Stan Lee would tell you that's his favorite.
Yeah.
Um, was his favorite. So I would say that what like it a lot of consequences that we haven't seen yet, right? Because like Spider-Man, like no one knows who Peter Parker is, but obviously Spider-Man's still Spider-Man.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting to see as Spider-Man 4 comes out. And then the death of Aunt May was huge too.
Mhm.
It also kind of like brought that characterization of Spider-Man. It was the first time I think we were able to see Spider-Man in like a truly like just absolutely like tragic
Yeah.
setting for him. Obviously, you saw like Iron Man's death and stuff, but that movie was never about him. I thought that was I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
Like it was like the first time like we were able to see like Spider-Man's life really suck, which is kind of like by comics like Spider-Man's life kind of sucks.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I don't really have much to add. I mean, this movie was awesome. Like, I really liked it. I think they did a great job, like you said, like bringing in the other Spider-Mans and a lot of cameos that were really cool. Yeah, no, I think they just hit this one. This one, I think, was one of my favorites, like movie
Mhm.
wise, for sure, that they've come out with.
Mhm.
Okay. Moving on. Let's go to Moon Knight. I want to hear your thoughts on Moon Knight.
I really enjoyed Moon Knight, and it's been a while again. Kind of like, so this is what annoyed me. We were getting all these good characters that we were doing nothing with. I would say
Mhm.
like the stuff everybody liked was just that was just not getting built off of.
Yeah.
And this is another perfect example of that. Like, where is like what are we doing with Moon Knight right now? So it sounds like he'll be back, but I thought the show itself was awesome.
Yeah. No, I mean the characterization here, like it's crazy. And then like the way they end it, like, oh my gosh, like there's a third personality. Like what?
Right? Yeah.
Like it's wild. And then like digging into the Egyptians gods, which is something like I've never really done in the past. And I used to love like the ancient Egypt stuff and like the pyramids and the
Hmm.
pharaohs and all that stuff. So digging into like the Egyptians gods and like how like it was something I never did before. So it was just kind of shocking to me and like a whole new world. And I was like, man, like they're doing a great job introducing this stuff
Hmm.
and like having him be an avatar of Khonshu and like Khonshu controlling him throughout his life, like is crazy. And
Hmm.
then kind of like building off from that and trying to have the personalities like work together was cool.
Hmm.
And then at the end of the day, it's just like, oh, Khonshu still has this killing machine in Jake. And I just rewatched it. So it's like you see when Jake comes in and you're like, dang, like that's sick, like how and it just makes you think about it. Like, how would they even figure out that he gets there? Because like both of them are out and both of them are done. And it makes you think about it, like, why didn't Conchu like bring him out earlier? Like they were in so much turmoil and like so much stuff where it couldn't have gone well. Like I would just brought out Jake and had him kill everybody. Like if
Yeah.
he's that
Right.
powerful, like would have been
Hmm.
great. But overall, this I think it's in my top 3 TV shows. Like I love this one. Not gonna lie.
Yeah. No, I enjoyed it a lot too.
All right. Let's move into Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. I want to get your thoughts.
Yeah, I hated this movie. It
We
sucked.
watched this together. Yeah,
Yeah,
this
we
was a
did. Like
rough
from
one.
top to bottom, I thought this was one of the worst movies they've ever put out. Um, because so like Doctor Strange is a good character. Like, we all grown to like him. I thought there was nothing they really desecrated him with. I thought they just completely tore to shit. Like we said earlier, like everything they did in WandaVision, everything
Yeah,
about Wanda's character. Because you're just going after these kids that and just like didn't exist,
yep,
who were
yep.
mothered by a variant of herself. Like that's
It's
just
like,
so bizarre to me.
yeah. The thing is, too, is like the dark hold's gonna corrupt you. It's not gonna make you that crazy. And like
No,
when it's
no.
Wanda and when it's that important of a character, like I love that storyline. I love bringing in like Kathan, like she's the Scarlet Witch, all of that. And I'm fine with making Wanda like a villain, but like it should be like the world just turning against her after the events of WandaVision and that like turning her,
Yeah,
not her
right. Like,
wanting her kids again. Like a
yeah, like
whole
what?
different like it was like bro. And then like you watched Agatha all along, right?
Not the whole thing, but I want like
Okay.
the majority.
Like majority. Okay, so do you know I'm not even going to talk about it. But with like with that, it's just like those kids, like it weren't hers, and like
No,
her
no,
her
no.
her
Wait,
going through that much
they're in the
trouble to
show.
realize it. Yeah, is
Yeah,
that bad? Yeah, no, like Billy Maximoff in the show, right?
exactly. So
So it's like Billy's still alive. So like if she's that powerful and could see that, why didn't she see that? That he was still alive. Like it's part
yeah,
of that where it's just like, all right, what are we doing here? Like there's multiple different ways you could put Wanda down. It doesn't have to be her kids. She could be so upset of what they did to Vision and like the aftermath of WandaVision, and it would make more sense than what they did.
yes,
Like yeah, and to me, like with Multiverse of Madness, I wanted them to go rated R, have it be like a demon character where it's like a horror film, and it would have been way better for a Marvel fan. It would have been way better for like almost everything because maybe it gives
yeah,
you the
right.
horror evidence as well. Because that's what I think you need to do with like darker stuff like that, and that would have been a darker film. Um, And I thought they did a great job with that with Agatha all along, and that's why I like it.
Mhm.
You know?
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's all I gotta say on that. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's tough. They could have done way better. I'm really frustrated with that one because they really could have. All right, I'm past time. Okay, let's get to Miss Marvel. Okay, let's talk
Mhm.
about the Disney Plus show. Give me your thoughts here.
Yeah. Um, I thought it was okay. Like,
Mm,
again, I wasn't a huge fan of her. Thought she was kind of annoying.
yeah,
Uh, but
that makes it tough.
I, yeah, it does. But I thought like just overall cool premise. Like, I thought, and her character was in that Avengers video game that I remember playing and stuff, and like she was kind of honestly annoying in that too. So that's fine. Just kind of who she is. Like, it is cool and a little relatable, like all the fandom she has around it, and then like to kind of become a like superhero. But I thought, and I also thought it was cool because it obviously led into like the Marvels and stuff, and will probably lead with more time too. But I don't know, it like kind of became a non. Like I never like rewatched an episode. I never like I just kind of watched them and went on my
Yeah,
way.
no, this was not part of my rewatch series. You know, like it was just kind of like, okay, it sets the background for Miss Marvel. So if you don't know who she is, then grind through it because it's gonna be kind of tough to get through it because there's a lot of cringy moments where you're like, why am I watching this? What am I doing with my
Yeah,
life right now?
yeah, no, I agree.
But like overall, I think she's a good character to bring in the young audience. She's a good character to have in shows. Like I think she was great in the next one, the Marvels. I thought she was
Mhm.
fine, you know, and it was cool because like you knew her background. So like watching that is going to be important if you want to know who Miss Marvel is. Overall, that's all it should be because I didn't think it was like one of the better shows. What's
Yeah, I
first?
agree.
Okay, let's go. Thor: Love and Thunder. Give me your thoughts here.
I really like Thor, and I thought this was kind of a blunder.
You did.
Uh, but I enjoyed the watch though.
Okay.
Like I didn't walk away and I was like, this movie sucks. Like, and that's in part again just because I like Thor. And he's one of the originals and stuff. I thought I had high expectations that it was going to kind of take after like Ragnarok, and it just got way too goofy.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought it was I thought it was cool that like we kind of got a little, I guess, I mean it's sad, but we got like reference on what Jane Foster had been doing and the kind of the fallout of all of that. Weird, still weird. Doesn't change the fact that all that everything in the movie wasn't weird. I thought there were some solid action sequences too. I thought kind of a waste of Christian Bale as a villain. I thought he was great. It was like very like it's like man like that just like you walk away and there you're just like that could have been so much. You
I
know like
agree. I agree that it could have been better. Like I
mhm.
think they could have done a better job. I thought the characterization of Thor has gone down an interesting path because he's lost everyone. Like he
Yeah, he
lost
really has.
Asgard, he lost Odin, he lost Loki, he lost his sister, he lost like everybody. And now Jane, like everybody's gone. So building like a loved one that he's gonna care for, I actually think is cool. And I actually think
No, no, I think that's cool
it
too. I like
yeah.
that. I
Yeah,
like
no,
that.
it gives him something to like live for and it gives him something to keep him alive in the MCU, which is cool. You know, like I'm
Mhm.
in for. To be honest, I think they should have just ended his story in Endgame and just kind of let it go from there. You
You
know,
think they should
but
have just like killed him off?
I don't think they should have killed him off, but I think they should have like done a ceremonial thing for him like they did Cap and Iron Man, you know.
Yeah.
But I
No.
also think as a movie, the only thing that puts me higher on this movie is because Gora the God Butcher, I thought they actually did a really good job with his characterization.
I did too. No, I did
Like
too.
building that, you know, and
Mhm. I agree.
I thought he was like a cool dark villain that like
No,
got
yeah.
in
Which
Thor's
was
head, you know. He was awesome.
yeah. And this is kind of where I was like said it was kind of a wait. He wasn't a waste of a villain, but the way they would just go from like his like dark like whatever, just like what the fuck are we doing on Earth over here, fellas?
Yeah.
Was a little like okay. Um. So we'll see. I actually don't. Yeah, I agree. I don't mind where they left Thor's story off. And I like having him around. Overall, it's so hard. It's like when you're trying to like make comics into like movies, it's like almost impossible to like have it go forever because like you never lose in comics, right? You never lose like Captain America. You never lose Iron Man. You never lose Thor. Even if they die, like they're still around.
And in
Um,
movies, like you should, in movies, like you
yeah, like
should lose those
death.
characters.
Well,
Right?
first off, death should mean something.
Yeah.
Second, I mean, like Chris Evans doesn't want to play Captain America for 80 years, right? Like he can't. So
Yeah. No,
it's
it's
just one of
tough.
those
It's
things.
tough. That one we went over the buzzer, but that's okay. That's all right.
Yeah, that's fine.
I want to group these two 2022 films or shows/films. Like I didn't watch these, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts if you watched them. But the I Am Groot and Werewolf by Night, I didn't watch these, so I'm curious to hear your thoughts on these.
I watched a couple of the Groot ones. I remember.
Okay.
Yeah, they're kind of just like fun. Like I don't really remember anything important being in there.
Okay.
And I didn't watch Werewolf by Night, to be honest.
Yeah, no, and I've heard like it could have some like sense like later on, so I feel like I have to go back and watch that one.
Yeah, I think I probably should too.
That one, it was just like so different of a Marvel film where you're like, do I really need to watch this? Like, I'm not sure,
Yeah.
like so. That one will be interesting. I think I'll go back and watch that one. Okay, let's switch into Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
Yeah. You get dealt the worst hand in the world. With the death of Chadwick Boseman, which that was terrible, right? Obviously, like real world, like damn. And I thought they did the best they could. I thought they honored his legacy, and I think that Shuri did a really good job as the lead. I thought the story was overall good. It just like there's similarities in like with the new captain. It's like in this aspect, except in this one, you like it was unplanned, so it's a lot harder to like make a story for, but also like you understand more because it's not like you could have just thrown more money at the guy. So I thought it was good. It's just like it pales in comparison to like Black Panther, which was so good.
Exactly. Like it builds Wakanda, which is cool, and it like shows you like where they're gonna go from here now. And you kind of had to kill that version of the character like off screen. I think
let him die with the actor.
Yeah, with the actor, exactly. So they'll figure it out. I don't know if Wakanda will be as big of a deal as it was in like an Endgame, Infinity War setting, but I think they did a good job moving Wakanda forward and how it'll affect the MCU.
Agreed.
So let's go Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania.
It's like the definition of mid.
Yeah.
My opinion. I actually don't think there's much to say on it.
Yeah.
I thought desecrated Kang, kinda, but I think Jonathan Majors also kind of desecrated Kang.
They built Kang up so much where I got
for him to lose
excited.
to Ant-Man.
Yeah, I got so excited for Kang, and it's like he loses to Ant-Man, and I like they built up like his power so much, and like
right.
and now like it's not even gonna go the Kang direction anymore.
No,
I think this movie just kind of solidified that Kang won't work, and it was time to move on. And
he didn't
Marvel
lose.
Getting that message is huge.
Yes, he didn't lose to Thor. He didn't lose to Captain America. He didn't lose to Iron Man. He didn't lose to, insert character. Yeah. He lost to Ant-Man.
Yeah. No disrespect to Ant-Man. No disrespect. He's awesome.
No, not at all. And you shouldn't be
like, and like you kind of have to do it because it's the quantum.
You shouldn't solo. You should not be able to solo the big bad.
Exactly. It should be like Iron Man and bring Ant-Man into the character.
Yeah,
and then you'd feel better about Kang. Then you'd feel better. But him losing that's brutal. But okay. Let's go Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I think we had a pod about this one, right?
Yeah. So I mean, we can keep it short because we talked about it before. This movie was great.
Yeah. No, I'm not even gonna add on, dude. Like, it was money. The Rocket storyline was really cool, and I think they landed this one. Yeah. That's all I got there. I mean, we talked about it. If you wanna hear our actual opinions, like go Go check out that past video. Okay. So this one I haven't seen in a while, and I don't really remember as well, but Secret Invasion. Talk to me about your
Yeah,
opinion here.
I watched that. I think in the summer
Okay.
of going into sophomore year of college.
Yeah.
So I think that's 2 years ago now, like
2 years.
2023.
Yeah, it came out in 2023, so that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. I thought it was kind of again like that could have been really, really good.
Yeah.
And I thought it was very, very mid.
I feel like I remember
Secret
thinking
Invasion in
that.
the comics too. It's like they're like scrolls are coming in as like the Avengers is like it just didn't live up to what it could have, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And I feel like if I remember right, like they just kind of rushed it and it didn't really mean that much either. Like Avengers weren't getting like with that storyline, you could just do so much more, you know.
And then also like they killed off Maria Hill kind of out of nowhere. Like, it's like I don't know. But whatever.
Yeah. It is what
Yeah.
it is. Right?
Again, I don't think I don't think much is going to come out of it either.
Yeah, no, I agree. Okay, let's move into the Marvels. Let's talk about that one. What were your thoughts here?
Yeah, I remember when I first watched it, I thought it was all right. Um, I don't like have like a connection with any of the characters, but I think it flopped at the box office,
Which I'm not.
this was kind of I think the one where you're like, shit, maybe we actually got to fix things.
Yeah.
But I actually didn't think the movie itself was all that bad. I just think it didn't do very well. Like I just don't think anybody resonated with Captain Marvel that well. And then, but like I didn't see. I saw this on streaming. I remember like when it first came out. It was just like so bad. Like
Yeah.
for me.
I mean, I agree with that. I rewatched Captain Marvel before I watched this one, and
I should have
it
done that,
kind
yeah.
of made me resonate with the character more. So I was kind of like
That's
okay
good.
with that aspect.
'Cause I remember I liked the first Captain Marvel. That was alright.
Exactly. And that's kind of like I feel like how you have to watch it, you know, so then you're like in Captain Marvel's mindset and talking about it because it's
Yeah.
tough for her then to like trust other people, you know. And with
No, right.
Monica, like it's crazy for her to see her because like, you know, she was so close with her mother and
She
all
was a little
that
girl,
stuff.
yeah.
Exactly. So she was a little girl and seeing her grown up, it's like, whoa, you know.
Mhm.
And then you know, like that aspect, like again, it adds to Miss Marvel's character. And I thought Miss Marvel was fine in that one, you know. Part of the reason why I say go watch Miss Marvel, even though I didn't think it was the best show, like go watch
Right,
it so you
yeah.
know who she is.
Give
Right?
a background.
Exactly. So overall, the one thing I feel like it was just rushed. Like it was really short. They built the
It wasn't that.
characters
It was like 2
well.
hours, right?
Yeah, like it just didn't mean much, you know. So like overall, I didn't think it was the best movie in the world. The villain wasn't really relatable. I didn't like the villain. I mean, it made sense, like trying to get revenge on Kree. That's why I liked it, giving a darker side to Captain Marvel's past. You know, I thought that was interesting. But
Yeah.
overall, I thought it was okay. You know, like built
Mhm.
those characters a little more, but nothing great. You know.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Okay. Let's go. So, how far are you on Agatha all along? Let's talk about that one.
I think I watched like 3 or 4 episodes. Like, slim majority. You can spoil it if you want to be honest. Like,
No,
it's
I'm
not.
not gonna spoil it because it's really, really good. It's really good. But you know, my thoughts on it is like it's WandaVision with like that much detail if you pay attention to like every single aspect of it. And
Yeah.
like I watch New Rock Stars a lot. They do a great job of talking about
Oh,
like
yeah.
the
No, they're
specific
great.
details and like all that stuff. And like WandaVision and
Right.
this show just has so much specific details in there. And I think they do a great job of like showing you, okay, like witches and this magic, it's dark, you know, it's dark and like having that dark aspect to it. And I mean, it's just showing you the power of the Maximoffs. It's like, oh my God, like it's
Yeah.
wild. That's all it really shows you, like just how crazy it is. And yeah, you're just like throughout the story, you're just like, whoa, you know. So I mean, for this one, I think it leaves you on the edge of your seats. To be honest, I think it's in my top 3. I think
Really? Okay.
with TV shows, like Loki's in there, Agatha all along, and then what was the other one I
Moon Knight.
mentioned up here? Moon Knight.
Okay,
Yeah,
yeah.
those got to be
I'll
my
have
top
to.
3.
I'll have to give it a look then.
Yeah.
This did kind of catch or sneak up just because this was like when I was moving into the house and stuff. But
Exactly. It kind of snuck up on you, but like I think the character developing of Agatha is really cool, because you get
that's
her
cool.
background. Watch what you have to do is watch the last 3 episodes, one of the two of WandaVision, and then watch this. And it's
Yeah,
like you're
get that
right into it,
memory going.
which is really
Yeah,
cool. So I think they did a good job here. Last one, I want to get your thoughts on Echo. I didn't watch it. So did you
yeah.
finish the show?
I thought
Yeah.
it was
Give me
alright.
your thoughts.
I thought it's a decent segue into the new Daredevil,
Okay.
and that's kind of and a decent, I guess, segue off of Hawkeye. Connects Fisk solidly. Again, not his best character, the best characterization of him,
Okay.
but explains a little bit of him in the new Daredevil because it's a lot about like Echo. It's a lot of like finding your past, kind of like resonating with kind of like going from because she was technically a villain, and just kind of like her going from like that to like moving away from like being a villain and stuff. How she got in with Fisk in the first place, um, and why she left, and just also cool because so she's deaf, so like a lot of
Yeah.
like the signing stuff, kind of cool. Got to make sure
Yeah.
you're like watching closely, but
Yeah, you gotta watch. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, like uh, but and then there's a cool scene of Daredevil in it, which is fun. But
That's cool.
yeah, I thought that's kind of all it was, like a little bit of a segue. I don't know like what the plans are moving forward.
Gotcha.
Fun
And
little
that makes
miniseries.
sense. It's a good segue into that because Daredevil's gonna be their moneymaker. So, kind of
Yeah, and to honestly, dude, like so far it has been like
yeah.
to give a
Which
quick
it
segue, like,
makes sense. It makes
and I
sense. I mean,
love the original ones.
Netflix, it was money. So, yeah.
Yeah, it was so like, and it like they are not Disneyfying it at all. Like everything about it, like even uh, like they're keep like also you can't like Daredevil is like a super dark character to begin with, and then he's also Catholic, so there's really no way to like Disneyfy it with it like still being
Yeah.
true to the character. And I love that they're just going all out.
Yeah. That's cool. That's cool. It makes me excited to watch those shows and kind of connect them
Mhm.
through. But Marty, this has been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah,
I
it's been a
always
blast, dude.
enjoy these. I always enjoy
Yeah,
this.
no,
Getting
for
like
sure.
an hour detour and just talking Marvel. It's good because like, we haven't really talked about the multiverse saga besides like that. So going through the list, is it's kind of
Mhm.
interesting. And it makes you realize where it's like if you're a Marvel fan, it's not as bad as you think. You know,
No, definitely.
like they did a solid job with it. It's just maybe a little more that didn't hit. But that's what happens when you make more content, right?
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, there's gonna be like, and I think again they got into this phase where they're just doing no wrong,
Yeah.
and then I think it's like people just like how let. I actually think it would be. I'm interested to see if like the way Star Wars ended kind of affected the way people looked at Marvel because it's being run by Disney, and then I think there was this more of this attention on like the woke agenda they were trying to do. Um, which I mean I don't really know if it was present or not. Like it probably was, but like
Yeah. I mean,
I
I
just
didn't
think
notice it that much. I thought they did a good
no,
job with it,
I
to
just
be
think
honest.
I think they were just making bad movies, like more
Yeah.
or less.
Yeah.
I think the biggest one was they 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 misinterpreted how good Doctor Strange was going to be because they marketed the hell out of it, and then just like it flopped.
Yeah.
And then they didn't really market anything else. Like they didn't really market the Marvels at all. They didn't what they didn't market Captain America until just now.
This one was their first like big time marketing thing in a while. And I think Deadpool and Wolverine, it was a little more marketed as well in
They marketed
2024,
it.
but
Yes,
like
yes, they did market it that well too.
nothing else. Like
There's one movie I'm missing too that they
Agatha all along you had to like see like on Disney Plus. I was like, whoa,
no
that's
right
out.
yeah, they didn't really market it at all.
Yeah,
They're
stuff like
marketing
that.
Daredevil strong,
Yeah, yeah.
but
The ones that they know are like they're gonna mark, and they
which they've
normally do a
always done a
good
good
job.
job with,
Yeah, just the Quantum
except for
Mania
Doctor
and
Strange.
Quantumania and Doctor Strange kind of killed.
Yes,
it.
that was yeah. They also they marketed Quantumania a lot, just didn't really hit. So
Yeah, exactly. And having 2 in a row, that just sticks with people.
it's a punch in the gut.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
yeah, but yeah, we'll definitely see what things do moving forward, and I'm excited.
I'm excited too. I'm really excited. I mean, with Doctor Doom coming in, like I
Mhm.
think we got a bright future. But
Mhm.
yeah. Well, Marty, thank you so much for joining the show, man. This has been a lot of fun.
Yeah, dude, it's been a blast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. All right. Well, that's going to wrap up the pod for today. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, wherever you're at. Go like, subscribe on YouTube, and follow the show on Spotify. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.